The WWF, what the world is watching. Turn it on and rip the knob off.
And welcome back to the Wrestling Memory Grenade, now at episode 164. And this week we finally, I promise you, conclude November of 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. I am Ray Russell, and yes, guys, it's been a long time in the making. 5 weeks of TV, news and house show results, and of course, the two-part Survivor Series. We covered in depth with my brother joining. And now, finally, we close out the month of November, heading into the final month of 1988. But before we can do that, it's the November 26th edition of the WWF's Saturday Night's Main Event.
War! I'm the Ultimate Warrior, and this pain on my face is war pain. Thanksgiving may be a time of peace, but not when my championship belt is on the line. Mr. Fuji and Super Ninja, this is my declaration of war, and I take no prisoners. On Saturday night's Main Event, to the victor goes the spoils, and I'm gonna spoil your Thanksgiving!
Forget all this holiday cheer. Andre and I are here to do a job, and the job is to get back the WWF Championship belt, back to where it belongs, around the waist of the biggest man in the world.
Because I'm the champion, and I want my belt. I want it now.
Listen to this. B-5-O-Bam. I smell defeat for the Macho Man.
Yeah, tonight is the night. Tonight is the night I face the biggest threat ever to my World Wrestling Federation Championship belt. Oh, yeah, he's the eighth wonder of the world, and he's over 500 pounds of pure wrestling terror. He's the most horrifying athlete ever in this or any other generation. He's Andre the Giant, and tonight, with Elizabeth in my corner, I will face Andre the Giant, and I will beat him, just like David versus Goliath, yeah. We all know how that story ended, don't you, Elizabeth? Oh, yeah. I'm Ted Dibiase, the $1 Million Man, and I don't believe in Thanksgiving. I don't believe in giving anything away. I believe in buying and selling the American way. And Hercules is bought and paid for. He belongs to me. He had his price, and I paid it. So tonight, Virgil here is going to collect on an overdue bill. First, I want to wish a happy Thanksgiving to all you Hulkamaniacs out there sharing this time with your families. And then I want to say, the way Brother Love set me up to be beaten like a dog by the big boss man only shows what he knows about love wouldn't stuff a 2-pound turkey. But what the Hulkster and all my Hulkamaniacs know about love is enough to stuff that pompous, pink, phony until he explodes like the hot air balloon that he is. Oh yeah, Brother Love, I'm gonna speak to you tonight, dude, but I'm gonna let the 24-inch pythons do the talking.
All right, guys, we are live to tape back November 16th, airing here November 26th, Sacramento, California, the old Arco Arena. It is indeed the 18th installment of the WWF's Saturday Night's Main Event. We heard some intro promos there from the Intercontinental Champion, the Ultimate Warrior. Says Thanksgiving is a time of peace, but not when the IC title is on the line. To the victor go the spoils, and the Warrior Man gonna spoil your Thanksgiving. Super Ninja? What the fuck's a Super Ninja? Anyway, we also hear from Bobby the Brain Heenan and Andre the Giant, the Eighth Wonder, vowing to take back his WWF title later here tonight when he steps in the ring with the champion, the Macho Man, who we also hear from Randy Savage along with the lovely Liz. Tonight, Macho faces the biggest threat to his WWF title to date. Literally. He says it's David versus Goliath, and we all know how that turned out. Plus, the $1 Million Man Ted Dibiase sending Virgil into battle. Doesn't believe in Thanksgiving, says Teddy, or giving things away. It's all about buying and selling, the American way. And Hercules is bought and paid for. And tonight, Virgil gonna come collect an overdue bill. Ha 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 ha. And then from there, of course, the Hulkster gonna wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, brothers. Hulk Hogan sounds like he's planning to stuff Brother Love. Dude, be careful out there, Brucey. As we kick it off, we hear from Vince McMahon, Jesse Ventura on the call here tonight, and we get ready for an Intercontinental title match. The Ultimate Warrior getting ready to defend his title against Mr. Fuji's latest find, the Super Ninja.
All right, Mr. Fuji, you have done it again. You've got an Intercontinental title shot for this man against the Ultimate Warrior. And again, you have proven beyond any shadow of a doubt to be the most inscrutable manager in all the World Wrestling Federation. Where in the face of the globe did you find this world-class athlete, combining a blend of the best of martial arts and Western scientific wrestling? He is the Super Ninja One.
Let me tell you, Mean Gene, secrecy is the key to victory. Remember Pearl Harbor?
What about this man? Tell me more about him.
Mean Gene, Super Ninja, has trained totally in secrecy for 7 years, in 7 continents, and in 7 arts.
Wait a minute, the 7 arts, what are they?
Foolish question from a foolish man.
Well, the Ultimate Warrior is going to be asking some questions of his own in the ring tonight. Can the Super Ninja One answer those questions? He seems to be the quiet type, unlike the Ultimate Warrior.
Remember, Mean Gene, pain is silence. Only the screams are heard.
Well, all right, Vince, as usual, after an interview with Mr. Fuji, there remains more questions than there are answers. Can the Super Ninja answer the ultimate question? We're going to find out here tonight.
So the most devious of the WWF managers, Mr. Fuji, brings the Super Ninja, number 1, according to Mean Gene, to the WWF here. It has been 7 long years, and he's been to all 7 continents practicing the 7 arts. What are those 7 arts? We may find out here in just a moment. Fuji stating that pain is silent. Only the screams are heard. Boy-san. As we roll off now, we heard from the challenger. Kinda. We heard from his manager anyway. Now it's time to hear from the IC champion himself, the Ultimate Warrior.
All right, the Ultimate Warrior tonight. The supreme test ahead of you as you defend your Intercontinental belt. Tonight, you're going to be facing a man you have not seen. No one has ever seen your opponent, the Super Ninja One. What is it like, Ultimate Warrior, to go into the ring to do battle with a man that you've never before seen?
Me, Gene, there is no face of war that I have not looked upon. I've looked upon battles beyond your imagination. I've seen my enemies vanquished 1,000 times, 1,000. And tonight, I will see one more. For war holds no secrets for me. War holds only victory for the Ultimate Warrior!
All right, I got to tell you, Vince, not since the D-Day invasion has such fury been unleashed on a single enemy. Will history hold true tonight? We'll see.
All right, UW has never seen the Super Ninja, number 1, before. Wasn't able to prepare for this matchup, but we hear some ranting and ramblings. Now, I typically try to dissect these, what Warrior's really trying to say, but he's fallen so far off a cliff as of late that his promos have become increasingly more, well, let's just say out there. As has his reckless ring work. And we'll get to that right now as it is time for the opening match here on NBC, the Ultimate Warrior defending his IC title against the mysterious Super Ninja. According to Mean Gene, this is Super Ninja number 1, Mr. Fuji in his corner. So, wow, the challenger, Super Ninja. Theme music and all. gets an entrance to ringside and Mr. Fuji leading the way. Now, we've never seen this man before. This could be the making of another new talent in the company. Meanwhile, the champion out next, making his Saturday night's main event debut, and thus his NBC TV debut as well, rushing to the ring, Warrior Man, filled with piss and vinegar, grit and energy, spirit and fury, cocaine and steroids. And the Super Ninja attacking with a flurry of chops, double chops, all of which not only does the Warrior no sell, but barely even registers. Ninja then with an honestly nice-looking ninja-style thrust kick, which the Warrior catches and tosses Ninja down to the mat. Warrior finally going to remove his IC title belt as we see a nice karate stance, we'll call it, by the masked man, even though he's a ninja, as he throws another kick, which Warrior also catches. But this time, UW going to hold on to the foot of this Super Ninja. And as the Ninja begs for release, Warrior takes the masked man's leg and throws it straight up in the air, basically trying to make the Ninja do a backflip, which would have been awesome if A, Ninja was ready for the spot, and B, Warrior didn't do it with such force that nobody would have had the ability to stick the move properly. So instead of taking a full backflip onto his stomach, the Ninja, you guessed it, lands directly on the back of his head and neck. Ugh. Awesome looking, but couldn't be fun for the masked man out there. Vince McMahon on commentary pointing out that the Super Ninja has looked anything but super thus far in the matchup. As the match continues, we get some sort of a botch, so the Warrior just kind of calls an audible, lands a big boot, sends the masked man to the floor. Warrior going to follow outside, but pressing the Ninja over his head, tossing him back through the ropes, or at least into the ropes, and then he falls in from there. Warrior continues to work over the Ninja before landing a big clothesline and the Gorilla Press drop, and the big splash going to end this thing in just 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Wow. Was not expecting that. You introduce a new character who immediately gets an Intercontinental title shot with a manager, Mr. Fuji, by his side. Even entrance music. Some of the long stays don't even have entrance music yet. And to be honest with you, for 1988, kind of a cool look for the times. And he does all this on NBC, by the way. So you expect him maybe not to win, but at least to hold his own. We saw anything but that here. Total squash. I've seen normal job guys get more offense in. Okay, maybe not on the Warrior, but fun little story. If you're just clicking around and you see this on your TV screen, the colorful, unique style of the Ultimate Warrior destroying this Super Ninja, well, it made the IC champion come off like $1 million as far as a top superstar here in the company. Now, speaking of UW, this was by far the sloppiest match I've seen him in thus far. I'm honestly shocked they didn't redo the matchup. It feels like as his star continues to ascend, Warrior's becoming more reckless in an attempt to ramp up the character, and it's unfortunately at the expense of his opponents. Which, by the way, Super Ninja, you'll be surprised, no ninja at all, guys. This was, in fact, Crippler Rip Oliver of Portland wrestling fame and other territories. Now, we saw Oliver come through here for a few matches in the latter half of 1987. Now, being on the West Coast and Oliver being a Portland mainstay, he slid right into the spot here, but they put the mask on him to prevent ruining him for the Portland wrestling territory. So Rip Oliver makes national TV, national broadcast television, NBC, and he's not even allowed to talk about it. Also odd, going back to the promos before the matchup, Mean Gene Okerlund referring to Super Ninja repeatedly on 3 occasions across both promos as the Super Ninja #1. Kind of makes you feel like there was a plan to slap another conquistador-like team together heading into 1989. But by the time Jesse and Vince did the post-production commentary, he was numberless. And this would mark the only time we see the Super Ninja in the WWF. As the show rolls on, we get a recap. We go back in time to the beginnings of the Ted Dibiase Hercules feud. Of course, Dibiase purchasing the services of Herc from one Bobby the Brain Heenan, going to make him his slave. Of course, Hercules declining that offer, or at least he thinks he has the option to decline. As right now we go off to Jesse the Body Ventura standing backstage with the likes of the $1 Million Man and his wrestling bodyguard, Virgil.
With me now, Ted Dibiase, the $1 Million Man, and his wrestler bodyguard, Virgil. Gentlemen, my staff of researchers have studied this matter very carefully, and the results we've come up with is that you seem to have clear title to Hercules. Have you considered a court of law?
Jesse, I'm glad to see that you agree with my lawyers. This is a capitalistic country, and when money exchanges hands, a deal's a deal. I bought and paid for Hercules. I own him lock, stock, and barrel. He is my slave to do with as I see fit. It's the American way.
Well, it seems to me Hercules is being a bit anti-American then.
Exactly, Jesse, and there's only one way to fight this battle, and it's not in a court of law. It's in the wrestling ring, and that's what we're here to do tonight. Take possession of what's mine.
But $1 Million Man, with all your wrestling skills, why don't you step into the ring with Hercules and show that slave once and for all who the master is?
Me? Touch a slave? Never. Does Rockefeller pump the oil from his wells? Does Donald Trump wash the windows of his skyscrapers? No. That's for people like Virgil to do. Hercules is on a long leash, and tonight we're gonna curb that dog. Come on, Virgil.
McMahon, I think George Bush should hire the $1 Million Man Ted Dibiase for Secretary of the Treasury. He knows what money's all about. Back to you.
Well, the body staff has come to the conclusion that Dibiase does in fact own Hercules. Does Teddy plan to pursue this matter in a court of law? Dibiase says he bought Hercules lot, stock, and barrel. Capitalism. It's the American way. And I guess that makes Hercules un-American for refusing to be a slave. Wow, what a way to put a spin on things. There's only one place to settle something like this, and that is in a wrestling ring, not the court of law. Dibiase here to claim his possession tonight on NBC. But Jesse asking, why is Virgil stepping in the ring and not the $1 Million Man himself? Teach that Hercules who the master is once and for all. Dibiase? Touch a slave? Never. That's for people like Virgil to do. Wow. All right. Interesting promo there. We're going to hear from the other side really quickly here. Mean Gene standing by with the mighty Hercules.
Well, Hercules, in your battle tonight, it's not for the usual stakes. You're going to be fighting for your very freedom. If you lose tonight, you're going to be the personal property of one Ted Dibiase. He will hold the chain.
Hercules is no slave. I am a free man. These chains I wear freely. Every link in this chain represents a victory in the ring. And tonight, this chain is gonna get longer. I am Hercules. I am a free man.
You know, Vince, it's very strange how a man will act and react when he fights for his very freedom. Tonight, this match with Virgil could be one of Homeric proportion.
All right, Hercules fighting for his freedom here tonight somehow. If he loses tonight, Hercules will indeed be the slave of the $1 Million Man. So after tonight, Hercules says he will be a new man. Going to free himself from this so-called purchase of Ted Dibiase here. It wasn't announced going in, but apparently Hercules' soul, his body on the line going into this matchup against Virgil of all people. And we go to the ring for the mighty Hercules taking on Virgil. The heels entering first. Hercules follows as we get this little ditty from Jesse Ventura.
This capacity crowd, he's thousands of fans here, and Sacramento will be rooting for that man.
Hey, McMahon, check it out now. You tell me he don't look like Kunta Kinte.
Kunta Kinte?
Yeah,
This isn't Roots, this is Saturday Night Main Event, Jesse.
And you know what I always say, McMahon, if the chain fits, wear it.
Oh, really?
So Jesse Ventura there on says, you tell me he don't look like Kunta Kinte? Kunta Kinte, pal. Body says, yeah. Of course, Vince reminding him, this isn't Roots, Jesse. This is Saturday Night's Main Event. And of course, Jesse there we heard respond, and you know what I always say, McMahon, if the chain fits, wear it. Double wow. Oh my, Vince responds, oh really? Really indeed. So Jesse Ventura, man, talk about walking that fine line. As a quick reminder, Saturday Night's Main Event brought to you guys in part by Burger King. We do it like you do it. And we come back from the break and the heels attacking Hercules 2-on-1 as the bell sounds. But the mighty one ducks a double clothesline, landing one of his own, dropping both men. Hercules then teeing off on Dibiase with a series of jabs, clearing the $1 Million Man from the ring, and a backdrop followed by a clothesline. Also sends Virgil over the top rope, and out to the floor as the crowd going nuts for the mighty Hercules and the storyline involved here. Herc then turning his attention back to Dibiase on the outside, chasing him around ringside and into the ring. Now Virgil going to try a sneak attack, but Hercules ready for him. Dibiase going to bail again, this time Hercules continuing his onslaught of the bodyguard of $1 Million Man. Series of Hercules jabs, big elbow drop, and Herc going to mount Virgil, driving more right hands down into his face. More punishment on this bodyguard, paying for Dibiase's transgressions at this point. But Teddy up on the apron, trying to run distraction, which still doesn't work. Hercules remains on top. Great running knee lift here on Virgil. Man, Hercules must have learned that from his time with Mr. Wrestling 2 in the Mid-South. Pair of running clotheslines going to follow as Dibiase growing very disgusted on the floor, shouting at Hercules. Virgil finally fighting back with a few punches, but runs into another Hercules clothesline and a running power slam. Not bad. That was new from Hercules. I guess with Davey Boy now gone from the company, that move was free game. And Hercules going to make the cover after the power slam. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hercules picking up a pinfall victory off a running power slam. Match goes 3 minutes, 23 seconds. And as you might guess, Dibiase pitching a fit at ringside. He doesn't realize that Hercules has Virgil over his head in a gorilla press position. And Hercules walking over to the ropes, pressing Virgil out of the ring, down on top of Ted Dibiase. The $1 Million Man goes down, humiliated, getting up in a huff, pissed off. Ted tries to enter the ring himself to go after the Mighty One, but Hercules, grabbing his mighty chain, swinging it wildly, which covers the entire circumference of the ring, and Dibiase thinks the wiser, not going to jump inside. So the $1 Million Man, irate after the matchup, just laying into Virgil, standing over top of him, shouting down at his bodyguard, berating Virg, as Virgil struggling to even stand as he kind of semi-crawls, stumbles his way back to the dressing room. No remorse from the $1 Million Man as Virgil just cost him his slave. And I'm betting old Virg going to have to work off that loss in expenses as he cost Ted Dibiase quite a bit here tonight. Hercules going over on Virgil, and the storyline, well, great response here from the crowd. The storyline, Hercules earning his freedom. And as we all know, Dibiase been one of, if not the most hated heel on the roster for the past year. And then he sends his bodyguard in to do his dirty work, yet another slave, if you will, of the $1 Million Man. And, well, Ted, you get what you pay for. You send Virgil into the ring. I mean, you kind of knew this was going to happen. Hercules unloading and coming out the victor. Again, the crowd ate it up. And we still haven't even gotten to the actual match in the storyline, which is Hercules versus Dibiase himself. So we know there's more to come between those two. Virgil, maybe not so much. But we are now 2 matches in to the program, 2 squash matches basically, with a little storyline worked into this one. The WWF clearly building some new babyface stars for 1989 and promoting them here on NBC for the world to see. As we continue on, we're reminded of last month's SNME, the epic showdown between Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake Roberts, and of course Damien. We see that angle once again play out here this time on NBC, and Andre goes down, faints from his fear of snakes, it would appear, and we go backstage. Mean Gene Okerlund going to talk with Andre the Giant and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
All right, Bobby the Brain Heenan and Andre the Giant. I'm not a licensed psychiatrist, gentlemen, but we seem to have witnessed a full-fledged phobia, a fear of snakes.
Hey, listen, you. No, Andre. Listen, you little troll. You say that again in front of Andre. You ever say anything like that again, and he'll show you what a real head shrinking is.
All right, tonight is the night, Bobby Heenan and Andre the Giant. You're going to be getting a shot at Macho Man Randy Savage's title. It is a title that this man once held very briefly, the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship.
I am the champion.
Everybody knows Andre the Giant is the champion. But it's Jack Tunney and his sleazy administration that ripped him off and stole the belt from him. Well, we're going to get that belt back and that title, and we're going to get it tonight.
The way I see it, the Macho Man Randy Savage gets stronger and stronger, defending the title as often as he does.
Well, I don't care how you see it. Oh, he's got momentum. But what happens when that momentum runs into a wall? A giant wall.
All right, Vince, let's get back to you.
As we walk right into this interview, Andre already looks like he's ready to choke Okerlund out for even mentioning the word snakes. But Bobby makes the save. Damn, Bobby, why'd you have to do that? Andre is the uncrowned champion, so he says. He was robbed by WWF President Jack Tunney, but tonight, Bobby Heenan promises Andre will get his belt back. Randy Savage has the momentum, but what happens when momentum runs into a wall? A giant of a wall. We'll have to wait and see, but not very long. But first, before we get to the action, we're going to go backstage one more time. Mean Gene standing by with the Macho Man Randy Savage and the lovely Miss Elizabeth.
All right, first of all, Thanksgiving greetings to the Macho Man, Randy Savage, and to the lovely Elizabeth.
Oh, thank you, Mean Gene. I hope you had a special one, too.
It was a very special Thanksgiving. And speaking of special events tonight, a big title defense for the Macho Man against one of the most formidable opponents in the World Wrestling Federation. Macho Man, I've got to ask you point blank, why risk it all in front of 35 million people to take on Andre the Giant?
No, Mean Gene Okerlund, that's exactly what the Macho Man Randy Savage is trying to say. Andre the Giant is the eighth wonder of the world. And he's the largest man ever to enter the squared circle, yeah. And to be a great champion, I've got to beat the Giant. Hulk Hogan was a great champion, and he beat the Giant. Oh, yeah. And if the Hulkster, my partner in the Mega Powers, could do it, then I will do it. Oh, yeah. I owe it to the fans. I owe it to the title. I owe it to Hulk Hogan, and I owe it to Elizabeth, the manager of the Mega Powers, yeah.
Whoa, wait a minute. Speaking of managers, what about Bobby the Brain Heenan? You know him.
Oh, yeah, I know him. I know him to be a two-legged snake, and I'd be real surprised if Andre the Giant isn't afraid of him, too. Isn't that funny, Elizabeth? Isn't that something? The time is now. Down that aisle, yeah, to beat the Giant, yeah.
All right, as you know, every great champion faces a challenge none greater than the challenge ahead for the Macho Man Randy Savage. Will he emerge an even greater champion? We're going to find out. Vince, let's get back to you.
Well, Liz looking as beautiful as ever there, and I love the blue and green robe here, worn by the Macho Man, as Mean Gene asks Randy Savage, why risk it all in front of 35 million people? Ha! Call the hotline, Gene. To be a great champion, you have to beat the Giant, says Savage. And Hulk Hogan was a great champion, and he beat the Giant. And if Hulk can do it, surely the Macho Man can. Right, guys? So, before the big title bout, it's commercial time, guys. Sean Mooney with the Mountain Dew Slam of the Night. It's Brutus the Barber Beefcake in action, putting his job guy opponent away with the sleeper hold and a little post-match cutting and a strutting. And then it's back to ringside for the big world title match right here on NBC. WWF Champion, the Macho Man Randy Savage, defending his title against Andre the Giant. It's Miss Elizabeth and Bobby Heenan in their respective corners. And this one, this is the match of the night, guys. This is the one everybody tune in to see, the world title on the line. And here's a change of pace. The champion attacking the challenger, the babyface attacking the heel because, well, it is Andre the Giant, guys. But as Savage attacks, Andre going to shrug it off, pinning Savage up against the ropes into the corner buckles, begins chopping away at the champion. Macho, though, firing back with some elbows, but Andre again comes right back with Baba-style coconut crunches across the thigh, ramming the Macho Man's head into the thigh muscle of Andre the Giant, then butt ramming him back into the corner. Now as Andre goes for a final butt ram, Macho Man going to get his knees up, driving them into the spine of the Giant, but makes a mistake as he tries then to go for a slam, boss. The only problem is Andre did not call slam, and thus it's a no-go for Randy Savage, who fails on his attempt to slam Andre, and the Giant going to take right back over, choking Savage with his singlet strap in the middle of the ring. Andre using that singlet of his, the strap on his singlet, to choke the Macho Man and using his giant body to hide it, using those giant hands around the head of Randy Savage. The referee thinks it's a chin lock. Andre trying to choke out the champion. We truly may see a new WWF champion if this continues on. Andre, though, going to lay in some cheap shots from there. Referee Dave Hebner distracted at this point, but with the heart of a champion, Randy Savage continues to try and defend himself. But Andre, simply too big, too powerful, continues to use his girth to weigh down on the champion. Giant headbutt floors the Macho Man in the ring before Andre picking him up, pushing him up against the ropes, and laying in a giant choke. The same choke we saw Andre squeeze the life out of Jake Roberts with at the Survivor Series. Now Savage finally going to work his way back up, landing a jawbreaker to stun Andre and break the chokehold. Macho going to lay in a series of punches, running double axe handle, staggers the Giant into the ropes. Macho then turnbuckle smash before leaping up to the middle rope, coming off with another double axe handle, which sends Andre down to a knee as Savage begins to channel the future Stone Cold, stomping a mud hole in Andre, walking it dry here. And the fans reacting in similar fashion as they did for Austin, going nuts now that the challenger is clearly in trouble. Macho Man beating the living tar out of Andre the Giant. But Andre, he may not just be in trouble, he may be in double trouble, because as Savage has the Giant down to his knees, out comes Jake the Snake Roberts with bag in hand. And by the time Andre sees the Snake Man, he fails to realize that Jake has slid Damien under the ring. And both Andre and Heenan want Jake removed from ringside. Savage even going to exit the ring to have words with the Snake Man. Macho Man pointing to the back as it looks like Jake is explaining the situation, why he's out there. But it looks like the Macho Man asking Jake to leave ringside as we head into a commercial break. And then back from break, the match continues. Jake now gone from ringside. Savage kicking and punching away at the Giant. But with one quick shot, Andre going to free himself from the offense of the Macho Man. Meanwhile, Bobby Heenan running around ringside, searching for Damien under the ring. He knows that Jake put him somewhere. He just doesn't know where. Andre now also preoccupied with where the Snake is. Where's Damien? Andre more interested in where Damien is than what's going on behind him, which is the Macho Man making the recovery. Savage recovering multiple times, trying to attack Andre. Andre continuing to shrug off the offense of the Macho Man, but keeps turning his attention back to the outside. Where is Damien? Fears the Giant. Meanwhile, Andre finally getting Savage on the mat, landing a pair of butt drops. But while the Giant worried about a potential snake sighting, Savage going to leave the ring to chase Heenan for getting a little too close to the lovely Miss Elizabeth. Andre going to catch Savage on the apron as he tries to get back inside, chopping him back into the ring. Meanwhile, it appears Bobby has indeed found Damien. The Brain going to kind of kick the bag before picking it up to carry it away from ringside. Andre motioning for Bobby to get rid of the bag. We've seen a dog napping. Is this potentially a snake napping from the Brain? Well, the distraction allows Savage to blast the Giant, but Jake Roberts also returning ringside to take control of Damien. And Heenan going to run off into the ring, causing an immediate disqualification. Match goes 8 minutes, 45 seconds. Lots of dog and pony show shenanigans around ringside with Damien and Jake, and Bobby Heenan climbing into the ring, but not really getting involved. We've seen managers actively get involved and not have their man DQ'd. Here's Bobby Heenan just running away, running for his life from Jake and Damien, and he gets disqualified, gets his man disqualified for simply entering the ring. But as you might suspect, it doesn't end there. Post-match, Jake Roberts getting his bag back from the Brain and Macho Man catching Bobby in the ring, whipping Bobby into the Giant, and Andre stumbling backwards and wouldn't you know it, ties himself into the ropes. Never seen that before. Andre the Giant caught in the ropes, Bobby Heenan out on the floor as the Macho Man disposes of the Brain, tossing him to the outside, and then Savage inviting Jake the Snake and his bag into the ring. And with Andre tied up, nowhere to go, even a little blood, a little cut above the Giant's eye, the crowd loses their fucking minds as Andre just does an amazing job of showing fear here of what's to come. Jake going to empty the bag, sliding Damien across the ring as we get an awesome visual of the camera showing a close-up of Damien, and in the background we see Andre tied up and scared to death. And as the Snake Man going to scoop Damien up, milking it with the crowd for all it's worth, it enables Bobby Heenan and Dave Hebner time to free the Giant from the ropes, and Andre escaping just before he has to meet Damien face to face once more. So we see Andre stumble, land on his butt in the aisleway as he tries to leave in a huff. Meanwhile, back in the ring, Jake going to celebrate with Damien and the Macho Man hoisting the lovely Liz high in the air. Jake looking cool out there in a leather jacket. He's come a long way from his pajama pants in the Territory era. And seeing Randy Savage and Jake out there together just looked like a cool dynamic. We didn't get a lot of those top baby faces in the ring at the same time moments, so pretty cool to see those two out there. And the story continues with Jake and Andre, his fear of snakes, and Savage somehow escapes with the title still in hand, though no definitive winner here tonight. The match itself was just there, with Savage struggling, honestly, most of the way. Great fire when he was given the offense, but this was again designed to push the Snake Giants storyline more than anything. Get Savage on NBC, don't get me wrong, but he didn't come out looking too strong, at least in my opinion. But action continues on. Saturday night's main event, not quite over yet. Mean Gene Okerlund standing by once again, talking with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who has an upcoming flag match with the Russian Boris Zhukov.
This is the way they did it at Iwo Jima, right?
That's exactly the way to hold it, Mean Gene.
All right, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, my guest, crusading in arenas around the country, raising that flag high. Just exactly what does this entail?
Well, Mean Gene, Hacksaw likes to keep things simple, and no other flag than the Stars and Stripes will ever be raised over any arena, or it'll be over Hacksaw Jim Duggan's dead body.
Wait a minute now. What about Dino Bravo? Can he raise his flag?
You mean that rag with the fleur things on it?
Well, that's the fleur de lis, if you will.
Well, call them what you like, Mean Gene, but they look like squashed frogs to me, and that's exactly what Dino Bravo will look like if he tries to wave that flag in front of Hacksaw. Oh!
All right, now what about your opponent tonight, Russian Boris Zhukov? As I understand it, the winner of this one gets to raise his flag high above all others, much as they do in the Olympics. So if you lose, that means the Russian flag goes up.
Is that a flag? I thought it was a sign from a hardware store. But don't worry, Mean Gene. The only flag raised above this arena tonight will be Old Glory.
So it's going to be one-on-one for national glory tonight.
Forget one-on-one, Mean Gene. Remember 2x4. Tough guy. Oh!
Well, I got to tell you, Vince, if there were just one man to guard our national shores, I'd want it to be that man. Let's get back to you.
Yes, indeed, a flag match coming up. The U.S. flag or the Russia flag will be held high when the winner is determined. Duggan stating that the American flag will be the only flag held high over an arena if old Hacksaw has anything to say about it, including that of the Russian Bolsheviks and their hardware store flag. Talking about the sickle and the hammer there. Of course, Duggan not going to go without mentioning the fleur thingy, the fleur de lis, the flowery flag of one Dino Bravo. Duggan going to take down apparently all foreign enemies. Tough guy. Ho! And it's back to the ring for said flag match. Jim Duggan to take on Boris Zhukov. Zhukov out here attempting to sing the Russian national anthem, but it's cut off by the Stars and Stripes Forever theme. Playing Hacksaw out to the ring. Hey, this is NBC. You got to have theme music, right, guys? Duggan out here to some Stars and Stripes Forever. That was a bit biased, if you ask me, allowing Duggan's U.S. theme to cut off the Bolshevik, who, may I note, is now Slickless, by the way. You could argue, why did they leave Slick with Boris for NBC? But I think the answer is, why bring Slick down here when he's got the Twin Towers headlining? Looks like they pulled Slick from managing the Bolsheviks beginning at the Survivor Series, and yeah, Dr. Style has bigger things to worry about as we continue on. Not sure if Boris had a flag at ringside for this match, but Jim Duggan sure came down waving Old Glory high, which kind of makes the point of this match moot. He's already flown the flag. But before we can kick things off, Jesse Ventura alerting us that the Fabulous Rougeaus brothers are indeed here. They have a matchup coming with the Young Stallions in just a few, but they also have a very special surprise for us later tonight. Ooh, can't wait for that one, Jesse. But the bell sounds, and once Duggan removes his 2x4 from the ring, the two men go nose to nose. Now Boris going to throw the first punch, but the two men begin to trade blows from there. Zhukov finally missing a wild swing, and Duggan with an atomic drop and a clothesline, sending the Bolshevik out to the floor. And it is awful slow motion bumps, by the way, I might add there, from the faux Russian. Once back inside, Duggan going to telegraph a backdrop. Boris going to take over for just a moment, lowering the boom. Elbow drop going to follow, but Hacksaw immediately back to his feet, walking it off, slugging away at Boris, and Duggan going to telegraph a second backdrop, but this time it's all a setup. And as Boris puts on the brakes, goes to kick Duggan, Jim moves out of the way, and Zhukov taking that Charlie Brown bump. Good grief. However, Hacksaw missing an elbow, and Boris commences to biting Duggan right on the schnoz. Irish whip by Zhukov, but Hacksaw bounces out of the corner with a clothesline. Then it's the old wind-up slam, followed by the three-point stance and clothesline. Match goes roughly 3 minutes. Well, that happened. They literally gave Boris Zhukov the minimal of offense just to prolong the squash by another minute. And you can see Zhukov has become a complete jobber at this point, and his slow motion movements, even when bumping, was just awful, especially when you consider he was only 28 years old here. And as the USA prevails and the stars and stripes are flown high above the ring, Hacksaw defends his country another day as Dino Bravo looms. You know, I got to wonder, was there even a Russian flag up there to even add a little realism to this? Like Boris might have had a chance as a giant American flag is lowered. Hacksaw Jim Duggan saluting Old Glory, the Stars and Stripes Forever against a play into the Star-Spangled Banner. Zhukov goes down, and I'm not even sure there was a Russian flag if he had won this thing. So good thing he didn't. Jim Duggan, Old Glory, flying high, Dino Bravo on the horizon.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com, and to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. And of course, now would be a fantastic time to become a WrestleCopia patron over at Patreon.com/WrestleCopia. That address again, Patreon.com/WrestleCopia, where you get so many gifts, including all of my insanely detailed show notes for every episode of The Grenade Show, Regional Wrestling, and the Monday Warfare podcast. You'll also get early access to a lot of the podcasts here on the WrestleCopia brand, where you can listen days and sometimes as much as a week earlier than the rest of the listeners. But that's still not all, guys. You also get at least a dozen digital downloads for your viewing and reading pleasure each and every month, plus random bonus video drops, and of course, the Patreon exclusive Watch Along series covering many past WWF and WCW events. And if that's not all, videocasts, also now a part of Patreon. No subscription, cancel anytime. Give it a try for a month, guys. I think you'll like the content that I offer, and every penny of it goes right back here into paying the bills. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia. Help me pay some of the bills to keep the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and all of the great shows here up and running for the months and the years to come.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
As the show continues on, we get a recap of the recent Brother Love show where the Big Boss Man attacked the Hulkster. Of course, Slick macing Hogan in the face. Boss Man going to handcuff him to the guardrail and beat the living crap out of him with a nightstick. And now, as promised, it's time for the special Brother Love show right here in the ring with special guest, the Doctor of Style, Slick. Well, it was announced at the top of the program that the Hulkster would be the special guest, but Brother Love instead tricking us all and introducing a true asset, a real American brother Doctor of Style, Slick, to the fans here tonight. Boy, I bet Dick Ebersol loved that swerve. And as Slick dances his way to the ring, we cut backstage to Hulk Hogan, who just happens to be standing by with Mean Gene. Okerlund shocked, Hogan appalled. Brother Love going to swerve him here, called the Doctor of Style out to the ring instead of him. But don't worry, Hulkster. Up next, Love bringing out the man who shows no love, but has learned a lesson in control as of late. Out comes brother Hulk Hogan. And the Hulkster entering the ring, posing for the fans, ignoring, walking right through Brother Love here. Finally, though, Brother going to go face to face with the Hulkster, showing he is not afraid of Hulk Hogan. Love then asking the Hulkster how it felt to be handcuffed to the guardrail and beaten by the Big Boss Man with his billy club, flopping around like a jellyfish. I wrote, LOL, only Brother Love could deliver these lines. Before Hogan can answer, though, Love snatching the microphone away to answer for himself. Why, it must have felt really good to be beaten by the Big Boss Man, Brother Hulkster. As the Doctor of Style talks the beady eyes of Hulk Hogan, says Hulk looks like a criminal. You can say that again, dude. Brother Love asking Hogan more questions, but continues to snatch the microphone away again and again and again. I guess you could say Brother Love controlling the interview out here. And finally, Hogan going to have enough of it, snatching the microphone away from Brother Love, offering to take the heels to the School of Hard Knocks, Hulkamania style, brother. Hogan then asking Slickster how he'd like it if every Hulkamaniac in the crown took turns beating him, boy. Boy, that didn't age too well, did it, Hogan? And if he thinks the Boss Man is the only person on earth who has a pair of handcuffs. What are you implying, Hulkster? Hogan then asking Brother Love some questions, and then going to pull the mic away from Brother Love, getting his revenge, and the fans eating it up. Hogan calling his fans the judge and jury, and Hulkster himself the executioner, dude. Brother Love then snatching his microphone back. He's heard enough from Hulk Hogan. Brother Love says he believes the Hulkster is once again losing control. Why, Brother Love may have to call the Big Boss Man to put Hogan back in his place. But Slickster going to get a little too close to Hogan here, and Hulk going to snatch him up by his suit. Slickster dancing around again, begging off before Hogan sends him sailing over the top rope and out to the arena floor. Brother Love going to attack Hulk Hogan from behind, hitting him right between the shoulder blades with his microphone. But Hogan no-sells the shot, and Brother Love in some serious trouble. Brother going to beg off here, but the Hulkster showing no mercy. Big body slam on Love, and then the Hulkster ripping off his shirt, posing for the fans before pulling out a pair of handcuffs hidden in his knee pad. Oh man, I don't like the looks of this. Hulk Hogan going to handcuff Brother Love to the top rope, clotheslining him over the top, and big props to Bruce Pritchard for taking that bump. Not just a bump over the top rope, but being handcuffed while taking the bump, hanging from the top rope now, and with Brother Love hanging over the rope. Real American gonna hit because the Hulkster must pose, pal. And Hulk Hogan getting a little revenge on Brother Love and even the Doctor of Style here as the feud continues on between Hogan and the Boss Man. Seemed like a lot of work and a lot of time spent for an interview segment on NBC, but it was Hulk Hogan after all. It was 1989, and honestly, the crowd ate it all up. And wow, what a great delivery here from Brother Love and the entire angle. It was pretty fun. I would have shortened it a little bit. I think the whole segment went about 10 minutes. But at the end of the day, not bad as the Hulkster Boss Man feud continues, beating up on his manager, beating up on poor Brother Love. And we'll have to wait to see how this thing plays out in the weeks to come. But right now, we've still got another matchup here before we close out the program. Jesse Ventura standing by with one of the teams involved. Jesse Ventura standing by with the Fabulous Rougeau brothers, their manager Jimmy Hart, and their special announcement.
Jimmy Hart and the Fabulous Rougeau brothers. Now, you all know my reputation as an investigative reporter. My sources are even better than Geraldo Rivera's. If I'd have gone in Capone's tomb, I'd have found more than a dirty old empty wine bottle. Jimmy, my sources tell me you're going to reveal a big secret to us tonight.
Jesse, we waited to be interviewed by you before we make our secret public. There's no way that Bean Brain Oakland is going to get this scoop first, baby.
Well, Jimmy, the whole world is holding its breath out there. What's the secret?
Jesse, the Fabulous Rougeaus have made it official. They have moved to the United States of America. They are all American now.
Where specifically?
Memphis, Tennessee, of course. We got all American boys now.
Y'all come visit us and we'll have some grits and mint juleps.
You know, that sounds great.
No, it's not great. It's fabulous.
Once again, McMahon, Okerlund just chews the fat while the body tells it like it is. We'll be right back, Jack.
Well, there it is. The body gets the scoop. The Rougeaus have indeed moved to America. They are now officially all American boys. And where are they moving to? Why, Memphis, Tennessee, of course. Raymond inviting everybody to come on down for some grits and mint juleps. Jesse Ventura says the news is great. It's not just great, Jesse. It's fabulous. The Rougeau brothers are now all American boys moving to Memphis, Tennessee. Got to have some great grits and mint juleps. Come on down, guys, and hang out with the Fabulous Rougeaus. I feel like they own a plantation. This delivery here felt like, I believe co-host Gene Jackson said, Gone with the Wind, and their delivery of how they view the South here in 1988. As we go back to the ring, the Fabulous Rougeaus in action with manager Jimmy Hart by their side, taking on the Young Stallions, Paul Roma and Jimmy Powers. And the Stallions already in the ring, so no crank it up theme, no introduction down the aisle. Rougeau's out next, no music either, but that will soon change. Awesomest theme of all time, if you ask me. Jacques going to get the best of Jimmy Powers to start things out here, even backflipping over a backdrop attempt. So Jacques going to counter, nailing Powers with a drop kick straight to the face. Now, Powers able to finally make a short comeback, mounting Jacques in the corner for 10 punches doom, but Jimmy Hart whacking Powers in the knee with his megaphone while the referee is distracted by brother Raymond. Now back in control, the Rougeaus, double teaming Jimmy Powers, savate kick by Ray Rougeau, spinning back elbow by Jacques, but Jacques gonna miss a reverse crossbody, and Powers able to make the hot tag out to partner Paul Roma, who comes in a house of fire clothesline to the face of Raymond Rougeau, running power slam on Jacques, and a really nice walk up the ropes to the middle rope, diving fist drop, really well delivered here from Roma, and an awesome missile dropkick off the top rope on brother Raymond. And boy, did Roma get some air there. Jacques in to break up the count, however, as in comes Jimmy Powers, going to even things up, a little four-way melee, but it's referee Joey Morella backing Jimmy Powers back to his corner. The Rougeaus going to double team with the Rougeau bomb on Paul Roma to steal the quick win. Match goes 3 minutes and 4 seconds. Another squash. 4 out of 5 matches squashes here. None of them going more than, well, maybe more than 3 minutes, if I remember correctly, going back. But Jimmy Powers took the brunt of the offense from the Rougeaus. It was Paul Roma doing the job, but man, did Roma look like a step above. Looked really great here, and just a little bit of offense he was given. But the Rougeaus going over here tonight, that's the story. The Fabulous Rougeaus have arrived in America. And as we get ready to close out Saturday night's main event, we got a few interviews lined up. First, it's Jesse Ventura standing by with the 8th Wonder of the World. We're going to hear comments from Andre the Giant after his matchup with the Macho Man. Andre unsuccessful in regaining his WWF title. Also, Andre, no doubt, going to have some comments for Jake the Snake.
It was an atrocity out there. Jake Roberts and Damien cost Andre the Giant the World Wrestling Federation Championship. Andre, he cost you the title.
Yeah, that cost me a lot because I got that champion down. And Jake, you put your nose in none of your business. And Jake, you will pay for it. But this time, don't come with that thing in the ring.
Andre, I can't believe you're afraid of a snake.
I'm not afraid of snake. I'm not afraid of that, okay? But Jake the Snake, you can come in that ring anytime you want. And fight like a man. All right, Jake? I'm not afraid of you at all. And believe me, you can ask some other guys the way I put them down. That's the way I'm going to do it with you, Jake. And come along, and you're welcome, Jake.
I'm sure Jake Roberts hasn't heard the end of this.
Jake, just you're welcome. Anytime you want, anywhere you want.
Well, Jesse Ventura says he's upset for Andre that Jake cost him the title here tonight. Andre promising that Roberts will pay. Jesse can't believe, though, that the Giant is afraid of snakes. Andre becoming upset, grabbing Ventura by his jacket, stating that he is not afraid of that thing. But even still, the mere mention of the word snakes seems to upset the Eighth Wonder. Andre telling Jake to come on out and fight like a man. Come alone, and he will go down. Meanwhile, we go off now to Mean Gene Okerlund. We're going to hear a little rebuttal here from Jake the Snake Roberts.
All right, Jake the Snake Roberts, despite what Andre the Giant has just said, I've got to believe you found his Achilles heel. You and Damien, that is. It's like kryptonite to Superman. Obviously, there's a phobia here with this man.
There's some small little problem the Giant has with these things called snakes. But I'll tell you something, Mean Gene. What it is that a man, his strength is being able to think and being able to do something about what's happening in front of him. A snake or an animal, they don't have to think a lot, brother. They use this. They sense it. They feel it. They feel the fear. And when there's fear, that means they can do anything they want. The door is open. Come on in. Take what you want, because this man cannot stop you. Well, Andre the Giant, if you think I've knocked on your door, you're correct. I have knocked. But Damien and myself, we will not stop, my man. We will not stop till we have totally consumed one giant.
All right, we've not heard the end of this one between Jake the Snake, Damien, and Andre the Giant.
Jake talking about a man and his senses. Meanwhile, an animal can sense fear, and they know what to do with it. Along with Damien, Jake plans to consume the Giant, Andre the Giant. So the feud continues on into 1989. Jake with a little trick up his sleeve. Hacksaw had a board, but Jake has Damien. And it just feels like another step in the direction of defeating Andre. Hulkster did it at WrestleMania 3. No other man has been able to do it since that time. Will Jake Roberts be that man? As we continue on, one final promo here this week before we wrap it up. Mean Gene Okerlund standing by with who else but Hulk Hogan.
All right, Hulk Hogan, there's still a matter of some leftover turkey. It looked like that to me on a Brother Love show, but what about the big boss man?
Well, you know, Mean Gene, it sure felt good presiding over Brother Love show, man, as Judge Hogan with all my Hulkamaniacs, a biased jury I might add on my side, also being the executioner, turned me on. When all the evidence was laid out, the Slickster and Brother Love were guilty as charged. But you know something? With this Bush-Reagan turnover, this is a perfect time, man, for a little bit of the truth, justice, and the Hulk Hogan law to take over, man. The only thing I feel sorry about was with all the evidence laid out, we didn't have the main criminal on the witness stand, and that was the big boss man. And your day's coming, boss man, because truth, justice, and the Hulk Hogan way will prevail. But the thing is, man, when you step on the witness stand, when I pass the biased verdict on you, boss man, guilty as charged, it's not going to be an electric chair, brother. It's not the gas chamber. That's not me and all my little Hulkster style. We're going to put a lifelong dose of Hulkamania on you, dude. And I might just put the handcuffs on you and give you a little view of what's going on all around town. Because when the largest arms in the world pass sentence on you and I jerk you from one end of my courtroom to the other, you're going to hear the snap, crackle, and the pop just like I heard it when you beat on me. What you gonna do, boss man, when Judge Hogan presides on you?
All right, stay tuned. More to come here on Saturday night's main event.
Well, the Hulkster, the executioner of Slick and Brother Love here tonight, and now his law will take over on the big boss man, who Hogan refers to as the main criminal in this entire thing. Hulkster promising that the boss man's day is coming, dude, because it is truth, justice, and the Hulk Hogan way. I shudder the thought. Admitting bias here, in his sentencing, Hulk Hogan going to put a lifetime sentence of Hulkamania on the boss man, dude. And as we close out this SNME, NBC owns a lot of rights to a lot of songs. And we go back to the 1980s and a little Bring Me a Higher Love by Steve Winwood. That was a fun way to end the show. And don't bother going back to the Peacock or Netflix to listen, because obviously it's been dubbed over by the normal SNME music there. But watching the live version, just a great little extra feel to it there, as this edition of Saturday Night's Main Event concludes, would draw a 9.4 rating, which is up from the 8.7 the month prior with the whole Jake versus Rude match, the Jake Andre angle. And it's still hovering around the same numbers, 9.4, as the two before that took place earlier here in 1988. And even with the lackluster card this time around, whole lot of squashes to get over the talent heading into 1989. Hercules, the Rougeaus brothers, Jim Duggan, and of course the Ultimate Warrior. We did get a WWF title match that was more built around the Jake Andre story, but we did get Hulk Hogan too, furthering his story with the big boss man by taking advantage of his manager and of course Brother Love. And let's not forget, Ted Dibiase still hasn't filthied his own hands on the mighty Hercules. It felt pretty weak for the headline matches this time around, to be honest with you, as we had Macho and Andre, and then the other main event segment was simply a Brother Love show. Again though, the live crowd eating that up. In real time, I don't know how well that would have gotten over with the fans at home during a midnight airing, but apparently not too bad. 8.3 million households, approximate there is the number. But yes, Saturday Night's Main Event, a 9.4 rating, and we continue on the final SNME of 1988. We are headed in to 1989, and it is now official, guys. We are off to the month of December 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. Just 1 month to go before we conclude this project here and move on to the new year. Here comes 1989 as we continue to matriculate our way back through the Hulkamania era at this point of the World Wrestling Federation in the late 1980s. So when we return next time, it's December news and results for 1988 in the World Wrestling Federation. But for now, just a quick reminder to stop over to WrestleCopia.com. Check out all the great podcasts there at WrestleCopia. They are also available at all of your favorite podcast streaming platforms. And a final reminder, guys, please go over and check out patreon.com/WrestleCopia. Multiple tiers now available with tons of great gifts. The $5 all access tier for a few bucks more. It's the VIP Superfan tier, which is loaded with videocasts. And now it's the Ultimate tier. Even more videocasts, even more goodies offered there at the Ultimate tier. Check them all out. So many great videocasts right now. From the Pro Reisu Academy with Dan Gennity to the Coliseum videocast with Gene Jackson. We've got big ones coming right now. Fall Brawl 95, In Your House 3, the triple header around the corner there. And we will also be debuting Ranting Raw. Going to get a little raw. Answer your fan questions, the patron questions, as well as various takes from social media in the ongoing world of professional wrestling. But if all of that wasn't enough, we now present to you Regional Wrestling Reels. It is the Regional Wrestling Podcast on steroids, if you will, because we're going to be bringing to you a videocast version of Regional Wrestling where we're going to be going back in time and covering various events and yearly breakdowns in video form. It's going to be a fun time there, guys. So all of that and more, subscribe today as spots are limited in various tiers at patreon.com/WrestleCopia. But for now, guys, time to say goodbye when we return one final month to come here in 1988, and I'm all for it. Can't wait to see you guys back here very soon. But until then, this is Ray Russell saying from pillar to post and coast to coast, you pull the pin, and I'll pick up the pieces right here on the Wrestling Memory Grenade. See you next week. Don't miss it. Be there.
come visit us and we'll have some grits and mint juleps.
You know, that sounds great.
No, it's not great. It's fabulous.